What if I were to suggest that you play a key role in the awakening world? And that you are watching this because you have heard the call. We can start right now by opening our hearts and minds. Welcome to the awakening world.
Good evening, everybody. I am Love Coach Scott Thomas, and most of you know me by now. And welcome to the Saturday night edition of The Awakening World. We've been doing this show for 3.5 years. And so now we're at the place where there's certain things that we do every year. It's part of our tradition. And this is the 4th year now that we have been supporting 11 Days of Global Unity. And it's a wonderful organization. We're really blessed that Rick Alfick, who is the man who made this happen, is with us. And Rick is my co-host. And Rick, it's so good to have you with us. We love you very much. And we so respect the wonderful work that you've been doing for many years with this organization. And Rick is the founder of We, the World, and the We Campaign. It's an international coalition building organization. And their mission is to maximize social change globally for a world that works for us all. And he's the co-creator of this annual 11 Days of Global Unity. So thank you, Rick. And a lot of Rick's compadres are with us. I'm going to just very briefly introduce them. We've got Jonathan Granoff with us. And Jonathan is doing powerful work. He is the president of the Global Security Institute. He's an attorney, an author, and an international advocate. And he's emphasizing the legal and ethical dimensions of human development and security. And he's doing a lot to really help prevent nuclear proliferation. So thank you very much, Jonathan, for the wonderful work that you're doing. And here's a familiar face, somebody that our audience knows well. It's our beloved Reverend Deborah Moldau. And she is, of course, the queen and the goddess of the Evolutionary Leaders Network. She is also super mama to about 250 of us that are members of the Evolutionary Leaders. And she's also an ordained interfaith minister. And she is certainly a guiding light to creating a culture of peace. And she was my co-host, was a week ago, 2 weeks ago? Something like that. It was very recent. So welcome back, Rev Deb. Thanks for being with us. And we also have Dot Maver with us, and Dot has been on the show a few times before. We love Dot. She is also somebody who's doing great work in the world. And thank you so much, Dot. And we're looking forward to kind of catching up with what you're going to be doing. She's an educator, a peace builder, and her keynote is all about inspiring cooperation. She's the co-founder of the Global Silent Minute, the National Peace Academy, the Global Alliance for Ministries and Infrastructures for Peace. She's also the co-founder of the River Phoenix Center for Peace Building and the Seven Ray Institute, and she co-authored the book, Conscious Education. So Dot, it's amazing how much you're doing in the world. Thank you very much for being with us tonight. Thank you. And we've got Kurt Johnson, and Kurt's probably been on the show the most of all the people here. Kurt is also really each and every one of you are doing so much in the world. It's extraordinary, really. It's extraordinary what each of you are contributing to our awakening world. Kurt is the man. I don't have your bio here. He is the person who has created the synergy circles, which is how a lot of the members of the Evolutionary Leaders Network can work together, collaborate. I think you've got 21 synergy circles now, Kurt?
23.
23. And we've featured several of them, like Artists Catalyzing Evolution, on this show. So he is an author, an editor, tireless. Every other day, I'm getting an email from Kurt with all the different things that he's producing, creating, promoting. So God bless you, Kurt. Thank you. And we always have music on our show, and on Saturday night especially, we always have our house musical artist, Omashar, our beloved co-host, and well, we love Omashar. And tonight we're going to have not one, not two, but 3 Omashar songs. But wait, there's more. Tonight is the Awakening World debut of Pure Land's music with Kyle and Marcy. And I've been really looking forward to having you on the show for a long time. So we're going to get to hear a couple of songs from the two of you. And then finally, on Saturday nights, we've added this wonderful feature of having a KES, that's Christic Energy System healer from the Twin Ray community, come on and lead a group healing experience. And tonight we've got Rosemary Swanson joining us. So welcome to the Awakening World, Rosemary. I am going to start by putting the pin on the man of the hour, and this is Rick Ulfik. And Rick, this is our 4th year doing something together to promote 11 Days of Global Unity. The first couple of years was through Saturday Night Alive with my co-host Deborah, who introduced me to you. Tell our audience a little bit about your background, and let's start with we.net and tell us a little bit about your evolution and what's happening here.
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you so much, Scott. And yes, it is great to be working with you so many times over the years. And do you want to bring up that website? I can.
Here it is.
Yeah, that sounds good. And there should be a way. You see, there's a little arrow. If you click that arrow, yeah, that little arrow, then you'll get a little overview. And this in this particular one, we're going to talk about today, 11 Days of Global Unity, the summit, which has some of the people that we are talking about and who are going to be on the show, in fact, today. So, yeah.
So tell us a little bit about We the World and how this all kind of evolved and what's happening with 11 Days of Global Unity.
Right. Okay. So I guess the background is We the World is a global coalition building organization. I founded it in 1998. So this is actually our 25th anniversary, which is amazing, right? Just incredible. And basically, We the World annually connects and promotes literally thousands of socially conscious organizations and businesses representing millions of people to amplify their actions for peace, justice, sustainability, and societal transformation. Sorry, I couldn't quite get that out. And we're really happy to have amazing global icons as supporters. So, for example, Archbishop Desmond Tutu made many videos for us and appeared many times on 11 Days of Global Unity summits and that kind of thing. But also Dr. Jane Goodall and Deepak Chopra, Marianne Williamson, Bill McKibben, and a long list. So we're really honored, inspired, and thrilled to have such amazing people that we've been working with. And the people that are on this show are in the same category. And I'm really excited to hear from some of the people who have been taking part in 11 Days of Global Unity. So let me mention a little bit about 11 Days of Global Unity so people get that sense what that is. Every year we observe 11 Days of Global Unity from September 11th to September 21st, which is the UN International Day of Peace. And we also support things like Climate Week, the campaign Non-Violence March, Pause the World with Good News broadcast, and all of the Peace Week activities with Unity Earth, Sign Network, and of course the Awakening World as well. So these 11 days eventually became 11 campaigns for change. Yes, thank you for showing that, Scott. And you can see the themes range from unity to economic justice and health and human rights, disarmament and peace. So we think of it as a blueprint for global transformation. And these campaigns are just phenomenal to give people a way to get involved. In fact, that's one of the missions of We the World, is to provide ways that people that can come together to create a world that actually works for all. So we can talk about some of the themes in detail when we hear from some of the folks. Does that sound?
That sounds great.
Good.
And we will be hearing a lot from Rick, a lot from our amazing speakers, all of whom are involved with 11 Days of Global Unity. But we always like to get our show going with some music. And so we're going to turn it over to our house musical artist, our beloved Omashar. Wow, that's a bright background, partner.
Yes, it is. Here we go. I give my life into your hands. I share my love across the land. I show my trust and faith in you. I know that you will lead me through. We know that our world is changing faster than we can imagine. Know that our days, they are numbered. This is our wake-up call. So let's live the dream we are sharing, the one where there's love and there's laughter, where people are open and caring. We are one family. I give my life into your hands. I share my love across the land. I show my trust and faith in you. I know that you will lead me through. Look into your divine nature. Look into your lotus heart. We are the new living masters. We are the golden ones. So come one and all to the party and drink of the holy water. It's time to transcend limitation.
That was a peppy tune. We're going to go to gallery view. Let's give some twinkles and some love to Omashar.
Some peppy love.
Is that a new one? I don't recall that one.
They're all new ones because, you know, every moment is a brand new moment, Scott.
Ah,
So they're all brand new. And they
spoken
do get...
wisely.
Thank you.
Hey, everybody, a reminder that we want to support Omashar by going to Bandcamp. That's the best place to buy his music. And you can go there by going to omashar.bandcamp.com. And he will be back with 2 more numbers tonight. So it's an Omashar night. Thank you, brother.
Okay, thanks.
All right, well, I'm going to bring Rick back on, and we're going to bring up our first guest. And this guy is someone that I have so much respect for. It's amazing how much he's doing and really important work. And we're talking about Jonathan Granoff. I already shared with you a little bit about his work with the Global Security Institute, but he also serves on, get this, he serves on the Nonpartisan Security Group, the Lawyers Committee on Nuclear Policy, Fortune Forum, the Jane Goodall Institute, the NGO and Disarmament Movement, the Middle Powers Initiative. He is the recipient of the 2020 Lifetime Achievement Award from the American Bar Association International Law Section. He is also honored by the Rutgers University School of Law. He has received multiple awards from people all over the world, and he's been a nominee for the Nobel Peace Prize. So it's a real honor to have you with us, Jonathan, and I'll turn it over to you, Rick, to do your part of the introduction, kind of sharing with us Jonathan's relationship to you and 11 Days of Global Unity.
Sure. And we can add to the list for Jonathan. Jonathan is an advisory board member of We the World. So, and thank you, Jonathan, for your amazing work over the years, your support for We the World, and your involvement with 11 Days of Global Unity.
Aren't we doing an event together later this soon?
Yes.
Why don't you tell people?
So the panels that we are doing for 11 Days of Global Unity cover each of the themes that we've been talking about for, coming up, and the one that Jonathan is on and part of is disarmament. And actually, we have a co-member of that panel named Rivera Sun, and she's involved with the nonviolence campaign. And we are having a great conversation with the two of them, Jonathan and Rivera. But I don't know if you want to say anything about disarmament. I mean, people know that you are involved with the, abolishing nuclear weapons, of course, but so many other things, and it all comes down to human security and what could result in that, right?
Let me ask a question for you, Jonathan. You might have seen in our opening trailer that this show is about providing information and inspiration. So given your unique perch of observing what's going on in the world, what's the information you could provide to our audience about how things are going or not going with peace building? And then what could you offer that might be inspiring?
Thank you. When Rick started We the World, I said, I hope we're so successful that there's no them.
Exactly.
And that's sort of the goal. And then his website is we.net. And whenever I think of that, I think of this wonderful metaphor in the Hindu tradition called Indra's web, Indra's net. It's the ultimate we net. It's a net that goes in infinite space and infinite time. And each node on the net, there's a gem. And the gem reflects the entire net. And if you touch any part of the net, the entire net responds. And the gem is the center of each of our hearts, which reflects the entirety of the whole. And the state of unity is realizing that secret. So I want to talk about that secret because that's the secret of unity. Unity is not something we create. Unity is. It is. The universe all fits together. Our time and space all fits together. And everything fits together. There's no fissure in existence, as it says in Quran. So for me, part of my path of doing that is moving from the head to the heart would be moving from the skills that I learned to understand the world to awakening the cognitive capacity of the heart. The heart's cognitive capacity determines all other cognitive capacities. For example, if your heart is in harmony and you watch the sunrise or sunset, you're amazed at the extent of the beauty. But watch a sunrise or sunset when you're pissed off. So the beauty that you saw was only to the extent of the beauty that's awakened within yourself. And your capacity to process the events of the world and learn the lessons that will bring us to our full awakening are determined not by our senses, not by our intelligence, not by the information we have, but by the ability to discern the lesson in the event. Betrayal gives you the opportunity to learn forgiveness. Everything gives an opportunity. That's why the Buddha's first truth, the first noble truth, is there is affliction. There is old age, suffering, and death, and everybody experiences these things. Rick just went through an amazing challenge of facing his mortality. God, we're so glad that your health is recovering with such vigor and strength. Why? Because you have that yes in you, that your life has dedicated to our unity, not just yours, but all of us. And that it will heal you completely, because that's where the secret is. So that mystery of discovering the relationship between our perception of the world and the qualities in our heart is what I want to talk about. For me, going from the head to the heart is the longest journey, but then there's another journey, which is making the commitment to go from the heart to the hand and to bring those beautiful qualities that you find in the heart into action. Love without action will wither into mere sentimentality, and your spirituality will reduce itself to a warm bath and a good massage. Sad to say, not a bad thing, but not going to get you to liberation. So the resonance that takes place when the heart and the hand come together, when our beautiful qualities come into action, the resonance within that is an awakened state of consciousness. So it's not, well, first is to have that pure intention. Second is to bring it into action. That's when the magic happens. So I want to talk a little bit about coming to unity, not disarmament, because that's important, and we'll do that with Rick in a few days. And that's largely about the space between us, about politics, which is very important, the space in which we're not the same, in which we are the separations between us and how we resolve them. That's politics. That's very important. It's a very important art. It's an art. But I want to talk about the heart. I want to talk with this community, my family, about reality. Not just unity and awakening the world, but awakening the self to the infinite light of the soul, the source of unity of life, the source of unity that never changes, the source of the multiple expressions of life. That's the ultimate unity. And that's the reality that sustains everything. And it sustains it through the power of love. So the first principle would be a principle that great Sufi master Bawa Muhayyiddin used to teach as an aphorism: separate from yourself that which separates you from other lives. Now, on one very simple level, the first level would be excessive identification with race, nation, religion, gender, physical body. Those are things, those are quite real, and they don't necessarily have to be causes of separation. Certainly religion can be used as a source of love and transcendence, and certainly bringing justice in the world through your nation. But excessive identification with these things, identification with your physical form. I mean, we have a physical form, it's very important, but excessive identification with that and excessive pursuit of the things that pleasure that form and the intellect that lives within it and identifies with it causes separation. So to understand the nature of these things, to understand the nature of the body self, the sense self, the intellectual self, and understand that these are temporal things and that they are not what we actually are. So then you look to see, what are the qualities that separate us? Anger, jealousy, falsehood, hastiness, lust, pride, vanity, jealousy. Shall I go on? Not necessary. What's important is to see that all of those qualities reinforce the illusion of separation. All of those qualities are centered around the ego mind. And all of those qualities are really a distortion of a divine quality. So love, when the ego steals, it becomes attachment. Patience, when the ego steals, it becomes sloth. Justice, when the ego steals, it becomes zealotry and self-righteousness and arrogance. Beauty, when the ego steals, it becomes jealousy and pride. So behind all of those qualities is a divine attribute stolen and distorted by the ego mind. And what are the qualities that bring us together? And what are their characteristics? Compassion, love, peacefulness, tranquility, justice, patience, compassion. All of those qualities reaffirm the intrinsic unity of the created universe and the source of the universe. And within those qualities, if a person goes into those qualities, the secret of those qualities is they're not performative, they're transformative. And they transform us to the open space that can see clearly the light of the intrinsic humanity that we share. Not that you possess, but that we share, like breathing. We all share breathing. We don't possess breathing. We share breathing. We're actually being breathed, and our consciousness is actually awakening through us. In the same way as breath is flowing through us, life is flowing through us. But we don't possess life, and we don't lose life. It just stops passing through this body. But while it's here, it's our time to find the source of the life. So the secret transformation within the qualities of selfless love and deep compassion is what's called wisdom. And wisdom is that consciousness that can discern the beautiful qualities within us and can bring them into action. That's what wisdom is. Intelligence organizes information. Wisdom finds the qualities and brings them into action. And divine wisdom, divine analytic wisdom, that goes into the qualities and then can discern their source and take us back to source. So there is intelligence, judgment that says, I'm going to make the commitment to go to unity and source. and then divine analytic wisdom that discerns the qualities within the heart, love, compassion, and goes deep into them and finds the source. And the source is where the light of consciousness and the divine qualities resonate. And that is a mystery. It cannot be known as an object any more than, can you see the light within your eyes? Can you see the thing that's seeing in you? You can't see it. Can you feel the thing that touches in your hand? You can't touch it. Can you see the thing that knows within yourself? You can't know it as an object because it's that which is knowing, but it can be realized. And only those people whose hearts have fully opened to not just the unity of the human family, not just the unity of the web of life, but unity with the mystery of divine love. They become that. And that's what we want to become. Then we're no longer playing music. Then we become the instrument, and the musician is the source. Then we are one. And being one with the true self, every single person who's tasted it, just tasted it, is a good one, because you'll never be fooled by anything less. And every single person that's become it comes back with the same message. And it's a secret message. It is one, we are one. And it's a secret because unless you've tasted it, it's secret. You dare not put it on a bumper sticker, because for those of us who know the profundity of this oneness, it could cause car accidents. Driving along, remembering it, very dangerous. So you have to tie your camel before you do this. But once you do it, then you'll say, I can do this all the time. I can give someone a glass of water that will actually help heal them because it's filled with love. I can actually dedicate my life to service. And I guarantee if you make that your intention, the opportunities to do it will come to you. We do not set the rules of the universe. We have to learn to be in harmony with the rules. We did not create divine love. The divine creator did. We did not create what we see. Did anybody create this breath? Did anybody create space and time? Did anybody create a story about themselves? Yes. So one of the things that can be a story that helps lead to unity or leads to divisiveness is the stories we tell ourselves. But ultimately, we have to drop the stories. We have to come to our common sense and see with a beginner's mind, a mind of openness, a mind that's always in the present, and a mind that is always filled with love. That has no story. That's always present, and that's the present. Doesn't have a story. Then we become the instrument, and the mystery is the doer. Then we are one. That is unity. So the best thing that this community can do is we can be in this season, we can be the living examples of that powerful love that gives us life and the powerful call to know the source of life. That is where the transformation occurs. And we need each other to do that. That's why we're in community. But ultimately, each of us has to do this in the depth of our own being and that intimate conversation with the source that gives us life itself, and come to that with courage and faith and openness. And I promise you, as Jesus said, you knock, the door will be open. Knock there. Don't just knock anywhere. Knock in that center of your heart. And then you will separate from yourself what separates you from all. And then we can be one. May the great blessing that gives us life give us the courage to accept the blessing and give us hearts that are pure, eyes that see clearly, and intentions that resonate with the source of all and everything, which is love. Thank you very much.
Jonathan, that was absolutely beautiful. And, even though we're running a little bit late, there's a question that came up from Shauna. And in essence, I'm going to kind of consolidate it. The question is, how do you resolve within yourself that someone such as Vladimir Putin can have such an impact on the world that goes so against our values for peace? How do you resolve that within yourself?
I try to understand how he got to where he is. If you were a Russian, your story that you would be told from the time you were a child are the invasions from the east of the Huns that came and slaughtered massive numbers of people in the end of the Middle Ages. That's the main story of if you go to the heartland of Russia, and that a very strong authoritarian leaders like Vladimir gather people together to stave off these slaughtering hordes. And then, of course, the Swedes invaded them, came all the way down to the city of Kiev. And then, of course, the French invaded them. And then, of course, the Germans invaded them. And then they perceived us as hostile after World War II, when we had a Cold War. And then the Cold War ended, and we said we wouldn't expand NATO. We expanded it. We put in missile defense deployments, which are bogus, in Poland and Romania. That's right on their border. And we have over 700 military bases around the world. They don't have military bases outside of their country. And we have fully demonized him. So he's up against the wall. Now, I am certainly not making a moral equivalency between what that nation perceives or has done in literally violating the most basic principles of international law, which we also did in Iraq. But the biggest difference is that in Russia, because it's an authoritarian regime, in Russia where there isn't basic freedom, in Russia where there isn't the moral agency of the individual, correction is almost impossible. Here in the United States, where we have freedom, every government will overstep its boundaries, and the people have to keep it in check. Every government will make mistakes. And in America, where we have freedom, the freedom to spiritually awaken, and the freedom to make corrections when our government makes mistakes, and the freedom to reach out to people that are different than us, that's the greatest thing that we have. They don't have that in Russia. So the world that Vladimir Putin has grown up in is a world in which it's a victim's narrative, and in which there's tremendous fear. So I understand that, and I understand how he got to where he is. And so there isn't anything for me to work out in regards to that. It's perfectly understandable how he's behaving, and it's perfectly unacceptable, completely unacceptable. And how we deal with it, that's another question. And that takes skillful means, and it takes community building, and it takes people with the expertise in international law and diplomacy. And what I bemoan is that the dialogue in addressing this horrible war that's going on, that we see in the media, in all the media, is military people. Well, military people are important, but military people don't have the skills of international lawyers or diplomats or peacemakers. Military people are the last resort. And in a world with nuclear weapons, the ongoing threat to use nuclear weapons essentially puts the entirety of the future of humanity in the hands of one or two people, and that is just morally unacceptable. So for me, I don't see that that the blame goes to individuals. There are systems that we have to change. We have to move from internationally and in our politics from the successive identification with national militarism as the way of pursuing security to some degree of planetary realism and pursue human security. We all share the phytoplanktons giving us oxygen. 60% of our oxygen comes from the health of the oceans. While we're institutionalizing adversity with these huge arsenals, we're neglecting to take care of the future and the living systems that are a gift from God. We are failing to understand that pandemics don't carry passports, And if we have a vaccine apartheid world, it will mutate in places and hit us all. We're failing to understand that if we change the climate of the planet, the way we fuel ourselves, we will impair the very future of humanity. These are the things that we need to change. So we need to focus on human security rather than the illusion of pursuing security in a purely national way. That's Putin's mistake, and that's a mistake we can't make. And that's why an initiative that says we are one human family, we have a vision. It's not something will happen overnight, but we have a compass. And our compass is a compass that's concordant with our highest human qualities. I'm sick of people saying, be realistic. It's not realistic to think we can live in perpetuity under the nuclear threat, or that we can continue to destroy the biodiversity and survive. That's not realism. Realism is what we're talking about here. Realism is developing our full humanity and expressing it through our institutions. Is Vladimir Putin doing that? No. Am I doing that? That's the question I have to answer for myself. I don't have to answer for him. He'll have to answer for himself. Each of us has to answer for ourselves.
Wow. Jonathan, I am so grateful to have you on our planet, on our awakening world, to have your wisdom. And thank you. You know, one thing that comes to mind that I just want to add is I'm really proud of our country and the checks and balances of our country. Our judicial system has really showed up in when you were talking about certain governments that will exceed their power. I'm very proud of how our judicial system has showed up to balance out the threat to our very democracy.
Yeah, it's a threat right now. I did a session on saving our democracy for the American Bar Association, and the second person was Jamie Raskin. We all know about what he did in the Congress. But the first person was the lawyer that put together the first 20 cases against Giuliani when they were questioning the legitimacy of the election. And his strategy was, it happened very simply. The first cases was in front of a Federalist Society, very right-wing judge. And Giuliani started ranting about fraud. So Mark Aronchek was the name of the lawyer. And he said, Your Honor, could you just admonish my colleague to stop making speeches about matters that are not in his pleadings? There's nothing in his pleadings about fraud because there's no evidence of fraud. 60 cases later, all the judges ruled there was no evidence of fraud. And so what I think is serious is that the media frames the issue as who do you believe? That's not the issue. You know, you walk down the street and there are crazy people talking about, you know, hearing flying saucers because they have fillings in their teeth. They can believe that. Who cares? It doesn't matter what Donald Trump believes or what anybody believes when we're talking about the institution of the state. The state is an institution of law, and we determine truth for the purposes of our institutions through the rules of evidence in courts. That's called the rule of law. So what is actually being challenged, and implicitly by the media, is exactly what you pointed out, the rule of law. And the rule of law, even the right-wing judges said, we go by evidence. So that to me is, you know, I've yet to see, I met Giuliani and I said, I told him I respected him for questioning the election by bringing his lawsuits. And then I said, but I question the fact that you continue after 60 cases, deciding clearly that the election was legitimate, you continue to question it. So my question is, are you assailing the rule of law or are you a compulsive liar?
Wow.
And he just totally unraveled before my eyes. It was kind of like in what was the movie, Raiders of the Lost Ark, you know, where the guy just melts.
Right.
His persona just melted, and they had to drag his handlers pulled him away. That's the way. That's what I regret. We don't see that kind of a question in, you know, even in MSNBC or anything. That we don't have people who are professional advocates on our side advocating. We used to have that. I mean, until after 9/11, I could get into public debate, but that to me is what's very serious. But this community has the capacity of being transformative human beings and to being, as Gandhi says, being the change we want to see. And that change comes about by connectivity with the source within oneself. I wouldn't expect, everybody to be studying legal doctrines and the rules of evidence, but that's what this is really about. You hit it on the head. They are rejecting. Their story is that America is a racial country, the foundation of which is the white community that came here basically in the 17th century. Our story of America is we're the first nation created by a legal instrument. We're the first nation in the world in which white men shared power, gave away power, distributed power, and created checks and balances on their power. Insufficiently, because there was the cancer of racism and chattel slavery, but at least the principle went out there. All men are created equal, which we now know means more than just the men. So we created a system in which the right of change and dissent and creativity is in the Constitution. But that's being challenged. That's being challenged very vigorously. Early on, right after January 6th, I did an article in The Hill on Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, which way back then, this is a couple of years ago, I wrote it, saying that these characters who support an insurrection are not qualified to run for office. Because Section 3 of the 14th Amendment says that if you have taken an oath to support the Constitution and subsequently give aid or comfort, not plan an insurrection, give aid or comfort to an insurrection, you're disqualified for serving in an office that requires an oath of allegiance to the Constitution. And finally, that's being tested. And we'll see, Scott.
It's gaining a lot of momentum.
Yeah, but I wrote this article and I was promoting it in the American bar as soon as January 6th happened.
You were hip to it. You were hip to that.
So the point that I'm making is speak the truth and don't expect results. You might see them years later and don't expect credit for it. It doesn't matter. What matters is integrity. But yeah, that's the issue. Will that great power of justice, the blind lady holding the scales of justice, will that prevail?
Jonathan, we could talk to you all night, and next time I think we'll do that. We already canceled an invitation to give you everything. Our chat box is lighting up with so many people appreciating your wisdom. But I do need to move us forward. I do want to briefly, I'm going to introduce two things that are part of Jonathan. This is his teacher. And I think what we saw with Jonathan is he has a brilliant legal mind and a brilliant spiritual heart. And so I think it's interesting to notice that when I asked him what he wanted us to put up, we're going to go take a look at his global security website, but he also wanted to make sure that we talked about this. And this is really the beautiful being and way of thinking that obviously has influenced you in beautiful ways. And you can find it at bmf.org. B as in boy, M as in mother, F as in Frank.org. And pronounce it, what can you
Muhayyadeen. Actually, my spiritual name is Ahmed Muhayyadeen. Muhayyadeen means the reviver of the path in times of darkness. That's my name.
Beautiful.
And aham in Sanskrit is the self, in Tamil it's the same. It's also often translated as heart. So Ahmed is the heart. And Muham in Tamil means the face. So Muhammad is the integration of the heart and the face, or the inner and the outer, the mystical explanation. Sufis tread a path that is bounded by, empowered by, directed by, sourced by, and finished by love. That's the Sufi path.
Thank you. And we're going to go to Pure Land's music in just a moment, but I want to go to the other website, the other part of Jonathan, which is the Global Security Institute. You can find it at gsinstitute.org. And this is where you can learn more about the incredible work that Jonathan and many of his colleagues are doing to provide security for our world. And thank you very much, Jonathan, for blessing us with your wisdom tonight. I'll bring up your partner, Rick, for a moment. Rick, what stands out for you in what we just heard from Jonathan tonight?
For me, what Jonathan has integrated with his life is such an example for everyone, because Jonathan can stand in front of a UN General Assembly and talk on those levels, and he's a Sufi. I guess you're not a Sufi master, but you're on the path in that way. Yes. So, but integrating all of those aspects that's what I'm totally knocked out by. Thank you, Jonathan.
Jonathan, thank you so much. Well, after that, that's a lot to digest. And that's why we have a brilliant speaker followed by music. And so we're going to go to a new musical artist. And I'm really excited to introduce to you Kyle and Marcy. And let me tell you a little bit about them. So question, what happens when a seasoned professional rock musician and an acclaimed healing artist and singer come together and they have a shared vision to help people heal and awaken to music? Well, enter Pure Land's music. It's the love child of Kyle and Marcy. Now, Marcy has played on our show before with her mantra album, Into the Light, and we're really happy to have her back this year with her new duo project with Kyle. This couple met a year ago at a shamanic healing retreat in Denver and are already touring and performing all across the country. They're currently making their first album together with songs we're going to hear tonight. So as a thank you for joining this performance, they're offering a free 8-song album of healing mantra music. I'm going to put that into the chat for everybody. And we'll also go take a look. Inspiring to see the two of you coming together and providing healing and music together. And welcome back for you, Marcy, and welcome for the first time, Kyle, to the Awakening World.
Thank you so much for having us. We're so happy to be here, and it's such a gift to hear everyone and the magic and the wisdom they bring.
Yeah, well, it's perfect timing for your music to digest the brilliance of what we just heard from Jonathan. So what's the first song that you have for us tonight?
This song's called Guidance. And we're going to play it right now.
All right, thanks.
The light. I lack the faith that all is right. Can I trust in your plan? That my life is perfect in your hands. Wake me up from the spell, 'cause I cannot see and I cannot tell. I wanna live, I wanna thrive, I wanna give, I wanna shine and look God in the eyes and thank her for this life. Couldn't remember the truth that I short and the path was long. I begged for hope to stay. I was scared I'd never feel you again, so I called out your name. In the silence, all the answers came. I wanna live, I wanna thrive, I wanna give, I wanna shine, and look God in the eyes and thank her for this life. Oh, how wonderful my world is now, with you guiding me through every shape and sound. Your guidance is making this cool, cool world a place I can call home. Come on, let's dance in the light. Come, let's awaken in this lifetime. May every breath be a prayer to heal the world for who lives there. I wanna live, I wanna thrive, I wanna give, I wanna shine, and look God in the eyes and thank her for this life. Oh, how wonderful my world is now, with you guiding me through every shape and sound. Your guidance is making this cool, cool world a place I can call home. Oh, how wonderful my world is now, with you guiding me through every shape and sound. Your guidance is making this cool, cool world a place I can call home. Your guidance is making this cool, cool world a place I can call home.
Wow, that was just beautiful. I'm going to go to gallery view for a moment. And that's all. It gave some twinkles and appreciation. And, you know, I love the synchronicity that you followed, Jonathan. And I wrote it in the chat box, right? Making this cuckoo world a place that I can call home. And the sweetness and the innocence and the gratitude that is conveyed in your song is the perfect sweetener, if you will, the perfect antidote, if you will, to some of the hard stuff that we were just talking about. Jonathan, I see you still there. I just got to ask you, how's that land for you to have a song like this right after?
Oh, I wrote you a note. I think you should get a radio station that just plays this kind of uplifting, beautiful, insightful, authentic, human awakening music. I just think there'd be a huge global audience for that doesn't mix it with anything, just all good stuff.
Yeah.
And that is just the criteria would be, is it beautiful? Is it true? Is it authentic? And these two and Omashar, that's the way. If somebody said, what kind of music was this? I would say it's beautiful, it's authentic, it's pure, and it's really, really wonderful to listen to. So I wish there was a radio station that I could find that.
Rick, there's
So
our
good.
next project. Let's create that radio station, Rick. Let's do it.
That sounds great, right?
Well,
Wonderful.
while we wait for the radio station to get created, they're offering a free download of their album, everybody. Now, I've put the link into the chat box where you can get it. And it's really easy. I'm going to do that right now. So you just open that link, put in your name, put in your email address like I'm doing right now, and we get a free album, 8 songs of their beautiful, beautiful music. And it immediately downloads, which is the magic. Look at, there it is. I've now got it right there to be able to play, which I will play tonight. That's really beautiful that you guys are doing that. Now we can support Kyle and Marcy, and we want to do that by going to the other link that they have placed that you'll find in the chat box. And that's, they're making a record and we want to donate to them. And I'm going to do that myself right now. I'm going to donate $50. And I want to really encourage everybody. I will go through with all my credit card stuff after that. But you guys, let's go in and let's donate to them. Let's help them make their album while we're working on making the radio station that Jonathan has just commissioned us to do. Thank you. Thank you so much. And Kyle and Marcy are going to be back for one more song a little bit later on the show, probably in about 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Now, for all of you who are watching on Facebook, you're not getting the link, right? You're going, well, how can I get the link? Here's what you do. Join the Global Peace Tribe. Come and join us. And this is a really good time to join the Global Peace Tribe because we just started a new season last week. And so when you join, you're going to get all the Zoom room links for 4 months. And we do 2 or 3 shows every week, every Wednesday night, every Saturday night, and then we have special shows. So go to globalpeacetribe.com, globalpeacetribe.com. You can learn all about us and who we are and all the amazing people that we have on our show. And then click register for the new season. And when you click register for the new season, like I'm attempting to do, it will take you to our registration page. And these are some of the amazing co-hosts. Every week I have a different co-host. This week it was Rick. Beautiful, beautiful, wonderful people co-hosting and amazing guests like you're seeing. We also provide a meditation every night that you can tune into. This was the show that I did on Wednesday night. And this is the show that you're watching right now. So register for the Global Peace Tribe. You're going to get the links to all of our Zoom room shows for the next 4 months. You're going to get access to the replays of all of our shows. We've done over 500 shows since the start of the pandemic, and they're all quite amazing with remarkable themes. And that way you come into the Zoom room, do it right now, and then you can get the links to the free album from Pure Lands Music and the links to anything else that's going to be offered by our wonderful presenters. So now is the time to join the Global Peace Tribe. It's easy, it's simple, and we want your support and we want you to join us. And we're a really cool group of people. And to prove what a cool group of people we are, obviously we've already been blown away by Omashar and Jonathan and Kyle and Marcy, but now we get to meet one of my absolute favorite human beings, and that is Reverend Deborah Moldau. She is, as I said earlier, the big Pachamama to 250 evolutionary leaders. She takes good care of us. She organizes amazing events, keeps us all in line. And Rick, what's your relationship to Rev Deb?
Wow. So many things, right? The first thing that comes to mind is Deborah and I did an actual concert together in China. Do you remember that?
Wow,
Isn't that incredible?
that is incredible.
And and she has a
Look what I
fabulous.
have to show you.
Oh, look! You
Look
found
at
it!
that.
You found it!
Wow.
Isn't that? Oh, I want to get that image.
I
That's
knew that would
incredible.
make you smile.
Oh my
Rev Deb,
God!
you've been holding back on us. How come you're not singing on these shows?
She's a
Because
great
I don't have
singer.
Rick to accompany me.
Well, we have
He's-
to arrange
This
that.
is a big, one of Rick's big secrets is that he's a fabulous piano player and a really superb accompanist. And we've performed together at the chapel at the United Nations. And here we are in China in 2012, where we were invited to come celebrate the International Day of Peace. And just as an anecdotal aside, the piano showed up, what, half an hour before we
Right, exactly. That
But
was
Rick
incredible.
is such a pro, and look at that expression of joy on his face. So
Oh, it's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Oh, I'm so great, so happy that you found that image. Oh my God. That's
Yeah.
Well,
incredible. So,
let's
Deborah
move-
is just a fabulous singer. She actually worked on in Broadway shows and other things, just so people know that she has had that background.
All right, so let's reverse it for a moment. What do you want to share with the audience about Rick?
well, I would like to take us back to September 11th, 2001. And I can feel the emotion in me just saying those words, because what happened on that day was so shocking to America that had never had that kind of attack on our soil before, and produced such a global outpouring of love and support. And by the way, I'd like to just take a tiny moment and send that kind of love and support to the people of Morocco
Mm.
who just experienced that devastating earthquake. Moroccans, we're with you, just as we were with the people of Hawaii during the fire and the fires in Greece and the floods and all of these disasters that are happening. But to get back to September 11th. September 11th of 2001 was, by cosmic coincidence, had been appointed as the International Day of Peace that year. That was before the date was stabilized at September 21st, and it was still tied to the opening day of the General Assembly. And people were actually gathered with the Secretary General at the Peace Bell in the Peace Garden of the United Nations, preparing to sound that bell at 9 o'clock when they heard this strange low-flying plane 1 and plane 2. And so everything shut down, and we all know what happened next. So Rick and I, the reason we go back and that we've had the opportunity to make music together is that we met at the United Nations. Actually, we met in the office of Diane Williams, who was working for the Interfaith Center of New York to create a program at the United Nations celebrating the Season for Nonviolence,
That's right.
honoring Mahatma Gandhi and Martin Luther King. And Rick and I both showed up to be part of that. And that's when I first met him. And I think it was just before the founding of We the World.
Yes.
So
Do you want to say about the 11 days and how that
yes.
relates
So-
to the whole thing?
So then when Rick, in the context of We the World and, moving from me to we, when he had this incredible inspiration to create these 11 days of global unity, he was tying the tragedy of September 11th, but also that spirit of the world coming together in a heart-opening way that I hadn't seen before in my lifetime. And the International Day of Peace, which I was part of a group of NGO representatives at the United Nations, who had been trying to get both civil society and governments to recognize the International Day of Peace, which the UN had proclaimed in 1981. So that had been around already for all of those years. It was an anniversary of that. But how can we get it to catch on so that not as a holiday where you don't go to work, you don't go to school, but as a day when you stop for a minute of silence and just send your prayers for peace to the entire world. And I know Dot has certainly joined us, and we're going to hear from Dot Maver shortly in that effort. But when Rick came up with this idea to tie the two and say, well, let's take those 11 days and make them special. And I remember a call that I was on with Rick and my dear friend, Monica Willard, who was representing Pathways to Peace at the time, and then later the United Religions Initiative. And Rick was consulting with us about the themes. He said, I want each day to mean something. So let's have 11 themes and let's move to peace as the final theme on September 21st.
And that was on 2011. So it was the 30th anniversary of the UN, the start of the International Day of Peace, and it was the 10th anniversary of the 9/11 disaster, and then opening up to 11 Days of Global Unity. That's why we did that. We had that special coming together, and Monica had that. It's like a historic moment. We're trying to figure out what's the name of this thing that what should, what do we do with this? And she said, 11 ways, 11 days, 11 ways. And that's why it eventually we came up with those 11 themes that have become the 11 campaigns that are going all year round.
And you tapped into something so deep, dear Rick, that it attracted those luminaries to endorse it. And I just, all I can say is your heart is so big that I'm delighted that it's still beating and that you're here with us to continue this important work.
Thank you. So Deborah, would you like to talk a little bit about when you and Dot and our dear friend Sharon Ria we have this panel for 11 days on this subject of unity. You could maybe say something about that, or anything that occurs to you, I would say.
Well, it was interesting for me to talk about unity because, as you know, being an evolutionary leader, and I also want to mention that the mother organization of the evolutionary leaders is the Source of Synergy Foundation. And you served on the board of the Source of Synergy Foundation for many years, so we're grateful to you for that.
And I don't want to interrupt you, but
No,
Diane Williams helped to launch We the World. She was on the board of We the World. I don't know if you knew that. So we,
It doesn't surprise me because
yeah,
it felt like that was a very special time, and all of our lives and missions were tremendously interwoven at that time. Yeah. So, and now you're a member of the Evolutionary Leaders, as is Scott, and many of the people who have been guests on this program. And one of the themes that's been running through the Evolutionary Leaders community lately is unity. And that is the first theme of the 11 Days of Global Unity. So I really enjoyed the opportunity to be able to speak to that, because I spent so many years speaking to peace, because I was representing May Peace Prevail on Earth at the United Nations. And on your website for the 11 days, there is a wonderful picture of you standing by a peace pole. And you've always been a wonderful supporter of May Peace Prevail on Earth as well. So that's really all I have to say about it, is that it's like a golden thread that you created to begin to weave together these 11 themes and move from 9/11, which still means something, just even the number, right? The date 9/11. It's anyone who lived at that time knows how that felt. And to start from there and that heart opening, and then address the important themes of the 11 Days of Global Unity that Scott showed on your website, and maybe he'll show that again, or I can actually, because I've got them right here. This is so important. Look at these themes. Can you read them? They're probably pretty small, but unity, interdependence, environment, economic justice, health and wellness, children and youth, women, human rights, freedom, disarmament, and finally, peace. And that is the road to peace, to realize our essential unity by going into our hearts, as you've encouraged us to do, and Jonathan did so beautifully in his presentation. Each one of us can be a peace pole and send our prayer for peace to every part of the world. Thank you so much, Rick. You're my hero.
oh, thank you. Same to you, Deborah.
You both are so beautiful. And Deborah, thank you so much for being who you are. And I am not going to let you get away with not singing. So sometime, not now, there. But next time you both on the show, let's figure out a way for you guys. Or the next time you tour together somehow. Right? We got to work this out.
Zoom doesn't encourage people making music together from our different
had one
squares.
couple that had figured it out.
Really?
There was one couple that had figured out. She was on the East Coast, he was on the West Coast, and they had figured out how to play together and have it work on Zoom. And in 500 shows, it's only been one couple that's been able to pull that off. Maybe that's another project for Rick. We've got to create a radio station.
That's part of the radio station, yes.
Exactly.
Hey, you hear us talk, everybody, a lot about the Evolutionary Leaders Network, and you can learn all about them by going to evolutionaryleaders.net. Evolutionaryleaders.net. My computer.
I see not much of the website is coming up there on your
yeah,
screen.
my computer is getting a little bit, it's really, really slow. I've got too many things open, so I'm going to have to close some stuff. Rev Deb is a co-host for this show, like once every couple of months, whenever I can get her. It's like, come on, Rev Deb, it's about that time. So thank you so much. And I really love what you said about helping us to understand the genius of connecting that hard day, 9/11, September 11, to September 21, the International Day of Peace. And by the way, this is the prelude for 3 consecutive shows that we're doing, starting with 11 Days of Global Unity. Next week, we're previewing Peace Week. And then on the 23rd, we're celebrating what took place during Peace Week. So we're going to have a lot of your friends, Ben Bowler and Becky Suzik and Fumi and the crowd, the gang, Kristen Hoffman, Tatiana Speed are going to be joining us over the next couple of weeks. So we're excited about that. I think it's time for some more music.
Big.
Oh, you just muted yourself.
Sorry, big shout out to the music. That's the amazing music that's been on this show. Omashar is always so inspiring. But Marcy and Kyle, for your debut, oh my God, those exquisite harmonies and your perfect vocal blend is just so gorgeous. And then, of course, the message and the music. Thank you both so much for uplifting us with the beautiful sounds.
Beautifully stated. And there's going to be a little bit more starting right now with beloved brother Omashar.
What do you see when you're alone? What do you feel when you are by yourself? How could it be that you are here? Isn't it strange the way things are? Look at the river flowing by, and look at the colors of the butterfly. How do you feel about your life? Isn't it strange the way things are? Dolphin in the ocean, I can hear you calling me. Come on in, you say, the water's fine. I have come to set you free. You have never been alone, my friend. I was just a thought away. And there's a deeper love that's holding you, and it's here to lead the way. Now that you see you're not alone, and there is no such thing as by yourself, and there is a hand that's lifting you into the presence of yourself. And life is a tale that never ends. There is a purpose to each heart that beats. You are the river flowing by. You are the colors of the butterfly. Like a dolphin in the ocean, I can hear you calling me. The water's fine, I have come to set you free. You is fine. I have come to set you free. You have never been alone, my friend. I was just a thought away. But there's a deeper love that's holding you and is here to lead the way. La 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 la.
Going to gallery view, everybody. Let's give him some good twinkles and some good love. That's beautiful.
It's such an uplifting show. What a juxtaposition between profound, deep information, heart-centered, and the awesome musical presentations. It's the perfect balance, Scott. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And you bring so much to us, Omashar. I'm so grateful for you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We're going to have one more Omashar song. So we're not done with you yet. Okay. Well, it's time for another heavyweight luminary. And it's my honor to bring on board Kurt Johnson. Many of you have seen him before. He's the director and founder of Light on Light Press, and also Light on Light magazines, and the Convergence series on Voice America. Kurt's a noted evolutionary biologist and a comparative religionist. Now think about that. Evolutionary biologist, comparative religionist. That means this is somebody who has a very beautiful overview of humanity. He's the co-author of a very influential book called The Coming into Spiritual Age, and he co-founded with Reverend Wayne Teasdale what is today the Interspiritual Dialogue Network. He co-edited the Evolutionary Leaders Gold Nautilus and the award-winning book, Our Moment of Choice. We did an entire show dedicated to Our Moment of Choice a couple of years ago. He's a former monk, and he has a PhD in evolution and ecology. And on and on and on it goes. He's a remarkable man. And Rick, what do you have to say about Brother Kurt?
Well, I'm glad you're my brother. That's the main thing. So I just want to say it's been just a glorious time together and fulfilling time together. And we are definitely in the same club. You know, both of us have been like workaholics, but on a mission, right? So I know that I get these emails from Kurt at all hours of the day and night about what's going on with politics. And it's like, I feel like Kurt has an intravenous connection to CNN or something like that. So he channels, you know, what's going on in the world, but he integrates that with all of the science and spirituality that defines his life. So thank you, Kurt.
Yeah, Rick, you know, we go way back on this. And one of the things I was going to mention, because I can be quite brief, is way back 2004, when you started the 11 Days of Unity. All of us remember before then, there were many programs around Peace Day, but everyone was doing their own thing and it was not coordinated in any way. And the 11 Days of Unity was really the first beginning of this clustering process, which now we all know has been cluster. I mean, even all the interspiritual groups that were doing programs at that time, if people go to interspirituality.com today, they'll see that represents 100 different interfaith and interspiritual groups all working together. That's been the huge change in those last 2 decades, is this clustering for impact networks and the network form of impact and the network form of organization. So this year, I joined your program on freedom with Rion Eisler and Dr. Larry Clay of the Conscious Business Enterprise, and we talked really deeply about the threatens, the challenges to the guardrails and boundaries in our own democracy, which seem, threatened in a really, really deep way that the body politic isn't really being realistic about. And we were wanting to really, bear that out and really let people see, what the dangers are by people who are gaming the system and wanting to move toward autocracy and even more dominance hierarchies than we already deal with already. So then you joined us on our Voice America specials to talk about where everything's going. So what I want to do real quick, because Deborah also mentioned everything the evolutionary leaders are doing, is just mention what's going to be available over the Peace Week from the evolutionary leaders, Synergy Circles, and the Evolutionary Leaders Network. So first of all, we have 2 specials on Voice America. One is actually from the Synergy Circle that Jonathan Granoff co-founded on unitive justice, healing, and global security. And that's a program that's running now. And the program that it'll follow, I'm going to screen share here real quick. The program that will follow it in a week is this one, Humanity's Moment of Choice, Forward Steps. And the people who will be our guests on that program is really a who's who of everybody who's running all of these networks toward impact. So Emmanuel Kunzelman of the Hollow Movement is our first speaker, then Ben Bowler of Unity Earth and Peace Week, John Raymer of Peace Week and Sign and One World, Julie Kroll of Good of the Home, A Whole and Connection Field, Deborah Moldau of the Evolutionary Leaders, David Gershon of Peace by 2030, Annalo Schnitzman of Earth Wise Center, Shannon Winters from Light on Light, and then Rion Eisler, of course, the champion of partnership consciousness, and then ending with exactly where we're starting tonight, which is Rick Ulfik, in the sense of wrapping it all together. So this is going to be a great program. All you have to do is just Google the Convergence at Voice America, and that'll take you to our show page. This will be posted 24/7 on the 15th. The one that's posted there now with Jonathan's program with Elena Mustakova and Nina Meyerhoff on Unitive Healing, Unitive Justice, and One Humanity, which really centers on the work that they're doing at Auschwitz in the sense of the One Humanity Institute that they have formed across the street from Auschwitz. So I will stop the share, but we're really excited about these Voice America shows really, giving a large overview of the whole thematic. Then the other thing we'll be doing, and don't worry, I'm almost there, we're going to have several programs from the evolutionary leaders in room 1 for Peace Week. All you have to do is attend Peace Week, peaceweek.org, and just see what's in room 1. We have one with Ervin Laszlo, again, a 2-time nominee for a Nobel Peace Prize, about his 2 books with us this year, one which is Upshifting to Conscious Evolution, and the second book coming out on the Global Oneness Summit in October, which is The Great Upshift, which has 34 contributors, really, really well-known people and well-known voices from all around the world, and where all of that is going. And the other thing we'll be announcing is our 2 children's books, because we're doing 2 children's books because we really know this message needs to get out between parents and children. So one is by, this is what Jonathan mentioned about cosmology and unity. So it's called The One Brightness, and it's by cosmologist Jude Currivan with our children's book writer, Victoria Friedman, who many of you know from these programs. Amazingly inspiring children's book. And then the second one is with Rion Eisler, again, talking about how we move from dominance consciousness to partnership consciousness. And for children, that's one called Fog Busters. How do we bust the fog of the dominance and the craziness that really rules the world today? So then we're going to wrap it up. Deborah will be helping me with 2 big newsletters for the evolutionary leaders, the Synergy Circles, and the Holo Movement, which will really be giving out the whole landscape for what's being done across all of these networks toward the change that we all want to see. So last thing I'll say, Rick, would be music to your ears, because that's why you founded 11 Days of Global Unity. We seem to be in this era now of moving toward the network form of organization and the network form of impact. And I wanted to say also in the Voice America programs, we give a big shout out to Awakening World, because one thing that Scott has done, and he's done it regularly also as he's doing tonight, is to get out the information on what's going on across all of these organizations, which are working now more in concert than they ever have. That's the big thing that's changed, that's coming together from the me to we. And Rick, you and I have both lived to see that, really begin to happen in a fantastic way. So a huge congratulations to you, Rick, for that founding work that's come so far. We're so happy to see you back now with your health and gunning away. There's a bad there. Rian would get me for another military metaphor. This stuff is so baked in us. Everything is all about, even sissy. I didn't know where the word sissy came from. It comes from the word sister. And it's a person saying you're just like a girl. So we have this stuff baked into us that is just so damaging and so threatening. And all of us need to be working in that direction, as Jonathan said, and Dot will also say, to really change this conversation to one that's about love and one about embracing that world that works for all. So, Rick, I'm so happy to be on a program that honors you and everything you've done, and especially that welcomes you back to your all octane 8 cylinders.
Yes, and I want people to know that Kurt and Rian Eisler and Larry Clay are going to be featured on the broadcast on Freedom, on Freedom's Day, which is the 19th of September, and each day of the 11 days there's another broadcast, and they're going to be on 12 noon Eastern time and 7 p.m. Eastern time. So this Freedom panel, which is incredibly powerful, that Kurt is on with them, that's going to be at 12 noon on September 19th and 7 p.m. And all of them, all of these panels are going to be on at 12 noon and 7 p.m. And this is room 1, which we've been talking about during Peace Week.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and people have said in the chat, Rihanna's amazing. She's the author of The Chalice and the Blade. It's sometimes considered one of the 2 most important books in history written by a woman. And it's about this problem of moving from dominance cultures to partnership cultures. If we don't move that way, we're probably going to tank as a species. We just have to make that transition, which is based on the spirituality that Jonathan was talking about. And she's 91 and still blazing away with this work in such a powerful way. So wonderful to do a program with her, and wonderful to do a children's book with her. So exciting things going on. So a big thanks to everybody here who's working for these same goals. Lots of love.
Well, thank you, Kurt. And tell us a little bit about your publication here, because you put a lot into it. So I want for our audience to know a little bit more about it.
Well, Light on Light came into being after our magazines, which you can find at issuu.com/lightonlight. After our magazines on uplifting themes were so successful, we had a partnership publisher come to us and say, hey, would you like to create an imprint to do important paradigm shifting books? So if you scroll down here, this is just one paradigm shifting book after another. This is Steve Farrell's book. This is Irvin Laszlo's book. Steve Farrell's book is A New Universal Dream, My Journey from Silicon Valley to a Life in Service to Humanity. So he was a Silicon Valley millionaire who then has transitioned now to the leader, being one of the leaders of the conscious business movement. So that's who Steve is, founder of Humanity's Team, which has 700,000 people in 130 countries. So that's Steve.
We did a whole show with Steve, by the way. We have our Authors That We Love series, which you've been on, and we had Steve on the last edition of that recently.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you just go on down, then you've got Irvin Laszlo's first book, subtitled Upshifting the Conscious Evolution. And like you said, you reach a time in history where you're either going to downshift and you're going to upshift, and you're going to have to do it consciously. And that's, of course, what we're all talking about here, is that conscious shift to the world that works for all and to the values that would embrace that. So if you keep going, you're going to actually see the spiritual lives of science. No, the Holo movement. Well, this is even bigger. So many of you who were at the big meeting in Sedona in March with 80 different leaders, again, how do we create a global network that embraces our collective purpose to unite humanity? And there are many out there. This is just one of many, but it's a part of this clustering effort. So the Holo movement had over 50 contributors, again, big voices in the world wanting to move this direction based on the work of the physicist David Bohm, which talked again, like Jonathan just did, about finding the way that the implicate order of who we are in the heart becomes one with the explicate order, how our cultures and our world actually works. This is the big disjunct today, which is so pathological, and we need to bring those two worlds together. So if you go down one more, you're going to get to the spiritual lives. No, you're going to get to may the love force be with you. And this is a divine feminine new lineage in Reiki, downloaded by several women leaders, one in the United States and one in India, that received it simultaneously. And it's a whole new understanding of Reiki and a whole new level of potency in Reiki based on the divine feminine. So it's a big book, 395 pages, but we really felt this was a book that we wanted to do. And as you see, the foreword there is by Sadhviji Bhagavati Saraswati, who so many of you know from Parmath Niketan in India. You scroll on down one more. We're taking another, well, boy, we're going to get to scientists sooner or later, but this is Bob Atkinson's new book, A New Story of Wholeness, Experiential Guide to Connecting Human Family. And there's a wonderful video with Deepak and Bob about this book, and a wonderful video with Rainn Wilson from The Office, who has a bestseller now on the New York Times bestseller list on a spiritual revolution. So there's a great video with Bob and Rainn discussing this book. I think the last one here in the scroll is Spiritual Lives of Scientists. There it is. This is a Gold Nautilus Award winner by Dr. Paul Mills, who's the Director of Research of the Chopra Foundation. And this is a book where he interviews 34 neuroscientists about their spirituality and the depths of their spirituality, embracing how they do their science. And it's really a groundbreaking book. And we're in contract with him for a second book that will build it out to other fields of science. So, thanks for taking that extra time. But these are books that can change the world, which of course is what you're all trying to do. So Scott, thanks so much.
Absolutely, Kurt. Thank you. And once again, we've got time for some music to digest just all the wonderful things that we're hearing from you and from Rev Deb. And so we're going to go to our friends at Pure Land Music, who will hopefully turn on their video camera in a moment. Hey, there they are. Okay. All right. How's this show for you two? What's it like to be?
I'm used to being in a rock band, so I'm used to bars and debauchery. So it's so nice to be around such conscious, insightful people who are trying to change the world. It's really a dream. And it's also really inspiring. It's really inspiring to see what everyone's doing and everyone's mission. And yeah.
Well, likewise, the two of you are very inspiring too, because you've got a beautiful mission, and seeing being two younger people coming together, creating such a beautiful mission and vision together. So we're inspiring you, but you're inspiring us.
We're just trying to help people heal. We've started playing shows this year, wrote songs last year, met a year ago, and it's been really beautiful because the shows are giving people a space to cry, to feel emotions, to heal, and we're just trying to get people in their heart space with this music. Yeah.
All right, and what do you have for us this time?
So this song is called Sing to the Mother. It's an ode to the goddess. We're both big fans of the goddess over here, so we like to sing songs to her.
Beautiful.
And the feminine, divine feminine. So.
that's inside of you is perfect and true. Let it take away your pain, wash it away like the rain. Give up your throne, there's nothing you own that she doesn't already have. She loves you beyond all of that. So sing to the mother and love one another. Dance with the colors and bask in her wonder. Now is the hour of her love. Bow to the power of her love. Power of love. Power of love. Power of love. Power of love. Give up your past. It's so much easier than that. When the plan that she has for your life is beyond anything your mind could ever write. She wants to set you free. So let it take what you don't need and turn it all into light as you melt into an endless sky. So sing to the mother and love one another. Dance with the colors and bask in a wonder. Now's the hour of her love. Bow to the power of her love. Power of love. Power of love. Power of love. Power of love. She wants to set you free. So let it take what you don't need and turn it all into light as you melt into an endless sky. So sing to the mother and love one another. Dance with the colors and bask in a wonder. Now is the hour of her love. Bow to the power, power of love. Sing to the mother and love one another. Dance with the colors and bask in a wonder. Now is the hour of her love. Bow to the power of her love. Power of love.
gallery view. Hey, everybody, let's give them some love, some beautiful Global Peace Tribe twinkles. I see Deborah Juliet is with us, and I know she's a big lover of the Divine Mother. So I'm sure she enjoyed that song. And I don't think I've ever had artists on the show break into laughter, completely stop, and then come back and pick right up where they left off. And you did it twice. You pulled it off twice.
I wish you could see it. Our dog Buddha was wilding. He just started running around the room and barking.
He jumped on the couch.
We got some help. We got some background singers over here. Marcy was like, "Are they gonna freak out?" And I'm like, "No, they'll be fine. They'll be chill." So
He wanted to dance.
yeah, he wanted to dance and sing. So thank you guys.
Well, you guys pulled it off. You guys are in such harmony with each other, such resonance that you like stopped, fell back, laughed, and then came right back in total. Really, you'll have to go back and watch the recording. It was quite. I've never quite seen that before. It was. Well, thank you again.
Music,
And
live
who-
music.
Yeah, who knows what will happen?
Buy the music, you guys. I just put the links into the chat box again, and we'll definitely. I hope you'll come back and be on the show again, and let us know when you're coming through Ashland, Oregon, because I'd love to book you to play. You know, I host events now when a lot of the musical artists on our shows play at our beautiful Haven. It's we've had Jaya Lakshmi and Kristen Hoffman and Gary Malkin last week. So where are you guys located?
We're in Michigan. We're in the heartland, Ann Arbor.
Well, when you guys come out west, really let's plan that, because I'd love to have you. You'd be perfect for our audience here in Ashland.
That'd be amazing.
We would love that.
Thank you so much, Scott. You're a gem.
Thank you.
Absolute legend.
My pleasure. And it's good to have both of you. Thank you so much. Well, Rick, we have one more live presenter, and she's, you know, each and every single one of you are doing so many things. And once again, Dot Maver is just like that. There are so many different things that she's involved in. I'm going to briefly read a little bit about Dot. She's an educator and a peace builder, and her whole point of life is inspiring cooperation on behalf of the common good. She's the co-founder of the Global Silent Minute, the National Peace Academy, the Global Alliance for Ministries and Infrastructures for Peace, River Phoenix Center for Peace Building, and the Seven Ray Institute. She also co-authored the book Conscious Education, The Bridge to Freedom. And she is also a member of our Evolutionary Leaders Network. Dot, welcome back to the Awakening World. It's good to have you with us. And I'm going to start right off with Rick. What's your experience of Dot? What can you share with us about your background?
Yeah, I mean, we have so many things that we've worked on together, but the first time we connected, I don't know if you remember, you were the campaign manager for Dennis Kucinich, which
when he ran for president in 2004.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? And people don't realize that about you. But that's how we met, and then we connected with Dennis Kucinich. But it was wonderful, and it's just been wonderful since then, working with you and being with you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Susan. I note that vote. So yeah, thank you, Rick. And Scott, please keep Rick and myself together for a little bit at least, because I want to first say thank you to Pure Lands Music. That so touched my heart. And I think the reason the dogs were wilding, especially Buddha, is because the love that flows through the two of you and that just radiated out through that gorgeous harmony and that song. And this is the Mother of the World. Up over my shoulder here, a Nicholas Roerich painting. And that's where it took me, to her grace, and her healing balm is being offered to humanity at this time as she turns her attention toward us. And that's the good news, because that hasn't happened for eons because it was too painful for her, all the violence out here. So we're hitting a moment where the big shift is happening. So, which everybody's speaking to in so many ways. And I want to say, if love is not the answer, we are asking the wrong question. Yeah, right? So, Rick, I want to say to you, my dear, dear brother, bless you. I'm grateful. I'm grateful that we're both still here, actually, and truly grateful that your heart is beating with the oneness that you bring to everything. And you know, you were one of the first ones who gave so many of us voice in a chalice of oneness, of unity. And that has been so consistent and so deep. And so we're honoring you tonight as we talk about all these various things that we're all doing and we are all cooperating around. But I want to say just, I love you so much and thank you so much for all you have done. You have laid so many pavers for all of us over the years.
Oh, thank you. That's very sweet. Thank you.
It's very
And
true.
I can say the same for you. So many things that you've done that have been groundbreaking and transformative. So thank you.
Well, and the International Day of Peace, which is one of our favorites every year, and of course now 11 days, as Deborah described so beautifully. I remember one of the early years after I got to know you, we used to do a reception at the Nicholas Roerich Museum each year, and Ambassador Chowdhury would join us, and members of URI and others, and lots of NGO folks. And I was on about the second time we did it, and I found out that Rick played piano, right? And I was like, ooh, because it had that gorgeous grand piano up on the second floor. I said, dang, we have to do it on the second floor, and Rick he'll play. And I was like, Rick, right? It was gorgeous. It was just gorgeous.
Thank you. I remember that. That was wonderful.
Yeah, so music is such a universal language. And I'd like to take a moment. I'm just going to share a couple of things, but I'd like to take a moment with all of us in the Zoom room and those of you watching and participating in this right now. You know, our hearts are on loan to us in a given incarnation. Why? So that we can come in touch with the oneness, with one another, and with the cosmic magnet, the cosmic heart. And so let's just take a moment together. Take a deep breath. And as you do so, just activate the spirit of peace in your own heart. And now with another deep breath, let's welcome the spirit of peace as we unite our hearts across distance. So with the in-breath, I welcome the spirit of peace. With the out-breath, we offer that gift. Let's do that again. I welcome the spirit of peace into my own heart. With the out-breath, we distribute that energy. And let's call on all those on the other side of the veil who are with us in this call for peace on earth, who are with us all the time, but cannot help humanity to achieve a culture of peace and all the glorious things that Kurt in particular listed for us, unless they are invited, because they can't impose their will. So with this next breath, we invite all of us, both sides of the veil, to welcome the spirit of peace into our hearts. And with the out breath, offer that to every living thing. So the talks this evening have really touched me as usual. I so love that we're focused on unity, right? Synthesis is, and as Jonathan always says so brilliantly, unity actually is as well, but it's up to us to realize that and be the demonstration model of that. And I submit that in the midst of this all systems breakdown on this beautiful planet we all call home, we are in a simultaneous all systems breakthrough. And we are seeing that everywhere. All of us here, we're all solutionaries. We all have a unique contribution to make. And many of us who are working constantly to offer that unique contribution, let's continue to speak that unity through our hearts, because that's where we realize it. And with that, as we are shifting, the big, all the cycles are changing at once, but as we shift from Pisces to Aquarius, that's the one that most people are aware of on the planet right now. The worldview is shifting. And Kurt, you speak to this beautifully all the time. As our worldview is shifting, it's pretty simple, actually. And as everyone has said this evening, pretty much the illusion of separation is just that. The revelation of our time is oneness. So we are shifting our worldview from seeing everything as separate to actually living the truth of one living system. And for those of us who sometimes have health challenges, we're realizing that we have to address this whole system as one living system. We can't treat any single part of it. We treat the whole thing all the time. The bees on the planet are one of the best examples of unity and cooperation and a recognition of one living system. So I'm very enthusiastic, may it be enlightened enthusiasm at this point, in spite of what we are seeing all over the world. We are one step away from the renaissance of our time, and where science and spirit meet, where we actually become the living demonstration. And you know, the power of silence is great. So in the Global Silent Minute, which is a passion of mine right now, brings us together in unity for just 1 minute a day at 9 p.m. GMT. And it was inspired by the Big Ben Silent Minute, which actually happened at 9 o'clock every night from 1940 to 1944. And BBC radio would go silent. The bells of Big Ben would chime. And all over the world, that 1 minute, at the end of the war, a German officer said, we didn't know how to counter the secret weapon of the British. I believe they called it the Silent Minute. So that has inspired the Global Silent Minute at 9 p.m. GMT every day. Take just 1 minute. Invite all those on the other side of the veil to join us as we call for global cooperation, peace, and freedom. May peace prevail on earth, and may love lead the way. Thank you, Rick. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, everyone.
Well, thank you, Dot. And hey, everybody, you can learn more about her Global Silent Minute by going to globalsilentminute.org. And I know that this is something you've been doing for quite a while. You've been working with our friend Fumi. Is there anything on your website you want to direct us to?
No, just know that it's there. If you need any of the clips or you want to use it, the story, whatever, feel free. And yeah, thank you.
I wanted to, so people can remember that the Unity panel that you and Deborah are on, along with Sharon Ria, it's going to be broadcast on September 11th, which is coming right up at 12 noon and Eastern Time and 7 p.m. Eastern Time, just so people know about that. And we're going to set up this kind of wave, during the 11 days at the same time on each of those days. But it's going to be started with you, Dot, and Deborah, and Sharon.
Beautiful. Yeah, thank you, Rick. And we invite everyone every day at 12 noon during this time from the beginning of 11 days all the way through Peace Week. And you'll be hearing about this from Ben and Becky and John and others. But at 12 noon, we will honor the Peace Wave, which is called for a minute of silence on the International Day of Peace. And we'll have a global silent minute every 12 noon time zone around the 24 hours. So, which will become a wonderful peace wave. So.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Dot. And thank you, Rick. And I'm actually going to take this moment to promote next week's show because you just talked about Peace Week. And next week we are previewing Peace Week. And just like tonight's show has been an amazing group of luminaries, next week we're continuing it on. We've got Connie Baxter Marlowe. We've got, of course, Ben Bowler will be doing my co-hosting duties along with Becky. Both Becky and Ben are going to co-host. And it's going to be a very heavy-duty music show next week because we've got Kristen Hoffman and Gary Malkin and Tatiana Speed. And all three of those are among our favorite musical artists. They're all going to be speaking about peace, playing music about peace. We're also going to have Connie and Andrew, two of our favorites. And then our KES healer will be Maggie Rose Lacosta. So next week's Saturday show is going to be, again, like tonight's show has been, it's going to be really wonderful. And talking about next week's shows, I do want to also let people know about my show on Wednesday night. And it's going to be how to energy balance your home or office. And we've got Deborah is going to be my co-host. And we've got all members of the Twinnery community. And Tika and Craig, this is what they do. They help people learn how to energy balance their home. So it's going to be kind of a different show, kind of a Awakening World Goes home improvement, if you will. And I'm kind of excited about it. And of course, as always, Omashar will be with us playing beautiful music. So those are our shows for next week. You know, you've mentioned Sharon Ria, and she wasn't able to join us live, but I did a pre-recorded interview with her. Do either of you want to mention a little bit of an introduction since you know her? And Rick or Dot, anything you want to say about Sharon?
We have been working with Sharon for a long time, years at this point, and she has been the coordinator of our Unity campaign for We the World, and her mission really is this idea of no judgment, just love. And she has all kinds of ways of making that happen in people's lives. She's a counselor for families and relationships. She's got something that she calls the comfy couch, a place where people can talk, you know, and air the issues and situations in their lives and with their families. So it's the comfy couch. And sometimes we've used her comfy couch with our meetings, where so the We Team folks sometimes sit on that digital comfy couch. So we
beautiful. Well, we're going to meet Sharon right now with a pre-recorded interview that I did with her last week. I am so excited to introduce our audience to Sharon Ria. She was on Saturday Night Live for the Global Peace Tribe a couple of years ago, and she is the founder of the No Judgment, Just Love. It's a global movement, and I can't think of four more important words. She is a life and family executive coach and a peacemaker, and she works on the Unity campaign and is a big part of We the World. And Rick, right away, when he was telling me about her, I said, yes, we've got to have her on the show now. She wasn't available to be with us live, so I'm really grateful that she's doing a little pre-record with us. Something that's also very beautiful about Sharon is that she's been working directly with people, counseling families, and working in prisons. She's all about expanding a culture of connection and unity through her program and her practice. Again, it's called No Judgment, Just Love. And as we were chatting before starting this, she shared with me that she just loves people, even those of us who are strange, which, Sharon, my father, when I was a teenager growing up, he put his arm around me and said, son, as you grow older, you're going to discover that everyone in the world is crazy except for you and me. And frankly, son, as you're getting older, I'm beginning to wonder about you. And so that taught me that we're all a little bit crazy in our own unique ways, right?
Yes.
So tell me
And that unifies us.
Yeah. So tell us all about your love for people. How did that develop and how does that show up?
Oh, thank you, Scott. First of all, thank you for having me. And hello, everyone. This is just an honor to be with you and to share my perspective of the world. I grew up as an only child and did not enjoy it at all. Kept asking my parents, when are we having somebody else in this family? It's just me. And so that was the beginning of me being aware that I just want to be around people. I love conversation. I love the interesting parts of people. I love to not compare, but to juxtapose myself of what they like, what I like. And so it began very young, my love of people, I think because I was isolated in my home. And one thing that my mother used to say to me, because we lived in not a real diverse community, even though the school that I went to was, my parents were one of the first Black families that got to own property in Washington, D.C. and Maryland. So this was a long time ago that I began realizing that people were segregated by certain things that didn't make sense to me. Everyone just seemed to be, should have been allowed to just be, but we weren't. So my mom used to say, and I was called something different when I was little. It was Sharon, and now it's Sharon. But she says, you can't save the world. And I thought, well, why the heck not? If the world needs some saving, whoever can do the saving should step up and do it. So as I grew up and went through all of the things working, I've been so many different things. I graduated as a choreography major. I've been a store window dresser. I've been a seamstress. I worked for the Make-A-Wish Foundation, been a teacher. I've been a lobbyist. I've been a lot of different things, communications director in a law firm. And what I decided was I'm really good at listening. I'm good at listening to not only what people say, but what they don't say. And from my variety of background, I have a lot of ways to relate to what they say. So I quit my job at 2008, the height of the downturn, and started my own company, The Whole Family Coaching. And my goal was to really work with families that were in transitional difficulty, like raising teenagers and moving through divorce, and grandparents doing that second job of raising their grandchildren, fathers starting to take a more active role in the parenting. And our society wraps its arms around the affected person, the teen, the youth, the children, but we don't do as good a job helping the community around that child, which in this case would have been the parents. So I focused on parenting. And in that space, I've never been an entrepreneur, and people say, well, you have to have a tagline. I'm like, a tagline? What is that? Something that defines what you do. And that's when those beautiful 4 words just dropped in. No judgment, just love.
I'm taking notes as you talk. We have a lot in common. I was born literally on Christmas Day. And I grew up with a Messiah complex. I literally thought when I was a little boy, it was up to me to save the world. And by the time I was 10 years old, I was freaking out because I was beginning to become aware of how big the world was and how little I was. And of course, I eventually came around to realize that I was not the Messiah and it wasn't up to me. But I think I've met many people like yourself, like myself, that we were born with this awareness that we were coming into the planet at a really critical time in human history, and that we all have a mission, and we're all wanting to find out what our mission is. And for people watching right now in the awakening world, put in the chat box if you grew up or if you have always felt like you were here for a mission. And I'll read some of those comments after this wonderful interview is done with Sharon. So Sharon, can you kind of relate to that? Like, have you noticed that you've also met other people that have that same sense of I'm here to change the world?
Yes. And what's really cool about it, Scott, is that in different ways than me. Some people are changing the world by mechanics and fixing cars and making sure you have transportation. Some people are just passionate about numbers. And my daughter, science is her jam. And I think even if people don't define it like you and I do, we have a mission. They just have a passion for something. And they become natural teachers, natural motivators, in my view, in that thing that they're passionate about.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. That's absolutely true. And I bring it back to you and your choice. Thank you for loving people and understanding that it's all about love and not judgment. But sometimes that's hard. So I'm going to put you on the spot for a moment. Think of whoever you have the most natural judgment for, whoever in your world. It could be someone you know, or it could be a political figure or a public figure. So how do you manage yourself when you hear or see something that just makes your blood boil or hits you in the tummy? How do you shift from judgment to love in your hardest circumstances?
I love this question.
I'm glad you do, because it's a tough one.
It's actually not as tough for me now because I've been practicing it. No judgment, just love is a practice. It's not one and done because every day something's different. And the way I would answer your question is judgments are natural and normal. They're human. We do it all the time. So there's no judgment on the judging. Judge away. Make your comparisons, get your annoyance, get your dander up, as my mom used to say. And especially those judgments that are in your head about yourself, that are harmful to your self-esteem, that crush your ability to move forward. So do all that, but then take a pause, have a breath to release it. And then choose how you're going to speak about yourself or other people, how you're going to act towards yourself or others, and what you're going to have as your opportunity to either choose to be around them or not. We can love people, or my word for love, because that gets fractured for a lot of people. We can allow people to be who they are and then choose to love them close or love them from afar. I just ask you to love.
And what does love mean to you in those circumstances? How do you love someone from afar that you're having a challenge with?
Another awesome question. I have spent years uncovering the good and the bad and the ugly about myself. I was married for 21 years to a man who he and I are opposites in everything. And that just brought us together as opposites attract, but pulled us apart as we couldn't and didn't evolve in the same way. Plus, I love people. So I'm always curious and inquisitive about why and how people evolve to be who they are. So the people that really frustrate me, that get my blood boiling, are people that have no regard for other people. People that are unaware of how they communicate. So I don't really have a person, I have person behaviors that frustrate me. And so what I do, because everyone gets to make up a story, because with the people that you are frustrated with, you're not going to go ask them, why are you this way? So you get to choose something, in my view, that causes you to realize we all have that badness, that uncomfortable, that frustrating part of us, our behavior with other people. So you are connected to them, because if you didn't have something like that, you wouldn't be witness to it.
Beautiful. One of my mentors taught me, when you see someone that's driving me nuts, to do one of two mantras. One mantra is, there's God fully experiencing itself as Donald Trump. If you don't mind my using that example.
No, that's fine.
Or there I am fully experiencing myself as Vladimir Putin or Joe Biden or whoever it is that, really is hard for us. And so that always helped me. And I'll be honest, for the really hard ones, it's easier to just keep it at God experiencing itself as than me. Come on, I can't really be.
Yeah, you got to be real. This is a real conversation here, Scott.
There it is. It's like really learning to see the world in that way. And it doesn't mean we condone or agree with their choices, but we still see the divinity of the being while being repulsed or angry even at the choices that they make and the consequences of those choices.
Absolutely, 100%. And for me, because of the job that I do, which is counseling and coaching families, many of what we would deem our proper behaviors or our frustrating behaviors emanate from the environment we grew up in. And so when I look out at our former president, I see remnants of my former husband, just in the way that his family was not, in his view, cohesive, not in his view. That's why I'm very, very tender with the word love, because love for a family where I show my love by smacking you upside the back of your head.
Right, exactly. Right.
That's how I love you. And then when you go into a room where people don't do that, you seem like the odd crazy person out. But that's what you grew up thinking love was. And so when I see people's behavior that I don't agree with, first of all, I do what you do. I just use different words. I know that I'm witnessing it to help me. There's something within me that they are reflecting to me, that I can be tender about. So it's not, I separate them from me and focus where I have 100% control is over me. I have 0 to 99% influence over them, but usually not much, because people don't want to change sometimes. So in focusing on me and seeing there's something I can learn about myself, the questions I ask are, okay, so where does this behavior that is abhorrent to you, Sharon, where does this show up in your life, not only towards other people, but towards yourself?
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Because ultimately, everybody is a sacred mirror. Would you agree with that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, I would. Because in the space of unity for the 11 days, we are all connected. We are all energy. A part of me is a part of you, is a part of them, is a part of us. And there's no way you can disconnect us. So even though physically you look like you're over there and separate, energetically and angelically, we are one.
So yeah, we had Deepak Chopra on the show a few times. And Deepak points out that if we live to an average age of about 90 or 95 years old, which is the current average, we will share approximately 10,000 molecules with every other person who has ever lived. Yeah. And like you said, there's no blank space. We're just in this ocean of ever-changing molecules, sharing this incredible experience. It really is what the great spiritual teachers have been telling us forever. There really is just one living God, life, a unified field of ever-changing molecules that we're all a part of. Well, I want
Exactly.
to encourage people to share their molecules with you and your wonderful work here. And so you can find all things that we're talking about at her website, which is NJJL, standing for No Judgment, Just Love. So it's NJLL.world, because that's the world that Sharon is creating for us. And Sharon, would you be willing to share the pledge? And I'll also put this into the chat box for everybody. I'll pre-write it and put it in. But as she's saying the pledge, let's just all feel it with her in our heart. Take it away, Sharon.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So my goal is to not change people, but to dissipate the part that's sad or the part that's harmful or the part that's hurtful and in pain, and enhance the magnificence of each person. And that is part of the mission of No Judgment, Just Love, not to change you, but to give you the space to become the best version of you. And so I ask people to consider this pledge of living these 5 intentions for No Judgment, Just Love. The first one being, I pledge to know we all judge, and that's human. So don't not be human, okay? Just know that judgments are not really the problem. It's what you do next that matters. The second one is, I pledge to recognize. So that means being conscious, being aware that when I'm judging harshly, and then I want to take a pause, change to something different, anything, something neutral, something fun, just change from that negative judgment. And number 3, this is a big one. I pledge to know I don't have to understand everyone. We always want to, why did they act this way? Why did they say that? Well, sometimes you're never going to get an answer because maybe they don't even know why. So I pledge to know I don't have to understand everyone. I can just allow and let them be. And then the fourth one is also a little challenging, to be the joyful expression of forgiveness, not the begrudging forgiveness, but the joyful expression of forgiveness, and truly let things go. And then my call to action for everyone is to open your heart, just like a little closet door. Open your heart and live in some of the ways that we've talked about, Scott and I, with no judgment, just love, so that you inspire other people. We're not trying to tell people what to do or change them. Live in a way that you become the inspiration of no judgment, just love.
That's so beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. My primary mentor was Marshall Rosenberg. I'm going to stop up, dot left, but I'm going to stop there because we continued on, but we need to move on with the show. So I do want to pull up real quickly. Here is that beautiful document that she was reading from. And here we go. You can take a quick look at it. Because we heard so much from our international leaders today. And I feel like Sharon, Rick, really kind of brings it into the personal level. You know, she's like, how do we handle, okay, we'll let Jonathan handle Vladimir Putin, but this is how to handle our neighbor or our wife or our husband or, you know, whoever it might be. So here's the pledge, and I'm going to also put it in the chat box for everybody. And it's a beautiful, beautiful document. Anything you'd like to add, Rick?
Well, that was a wonderful conversation. And, one of the things that Scott, you and I share is an appreciation for non-violent communication and Marshall Rosenberg's teachings and that kind of thing. And I think Sharon, with no judgment, just love, kind of exemplifies the spirit of what we're talking about with nonviolent communication.
You're absolutely right. And yeah, Marshall was a very big influence in my life. It changed my life. That's when I went from Scott, the writer, director, producer, to Scott, the love coach, was because of my relationship with Marshall. And you and I do share that lineage, which is a beautiful thing.
Exactly.
Well, that is the wrap up of this part of the show. Now, everybody stick around because we're about to have an Omashar song and a group KES healing. Somebody needs to mute. I think it was Omashar. Yeah, so we're going to have an amazing group healing with this wonderful woman, Rosemary Swanson. I'm going to bring her on in a minute. But Rick, are there any final thoughts you want to share?
Just very quick. This is something that we do at the end of each of our sessions, panels, all kinds of things. So can you see the
3 fingers?
The 3 fingers. So the idea is basically, do we want to have a me society or a we society? So let's go from being a me society to a we society. That's why we launched we.net. So together we can create a world that works for all. And I love you all. Thank you, Scott, and thank you, all the participants.
Thank you, Rick. I love you and look forward to many future years doing this show with you. Absolutely. All right, to wrap up this part of the show, we go to our beloved brother, Omashar.
In the beginning when we were one, life was fun. The human race had just begun. When you were children you laughed and played in the sun. So tell me now, where have you gone? Come back and divine, you're part of me.
Thank you. As one of our viewers just wrote in the chat box, beautiful, beautiful words, beautiful lyrics, and of course, your music is always beautiful.
Thank you.
What has stood out for you in tonight's show, Omashar?
Just the clarity and the groundedness of such profound spiritual truths wrapped up with, another word for wrapped up with, but it was like science and spirituality and politics and everything coming together, but they're all like dovetailing. Nothing is conflicting with each other, and it just shows for me possibility in the world with us pooling our talents and lifting each other up. It's phenomenal. It's absolutely amazing. And Jonathan, every word, it's like he took the words right out of my mouth. Holy smoke. I wish I had the eloquence that he has, but I don't have to. He has it. However, Jonathan, you rock, dude. You just such an inspiration, man. Really. Thank you so much.
And I'm appreciating that Jonathan and a lot of our people, Rick, are all on the East Coast where it's 11:43 p.m.
Uh-oh.
So after a long day of peace building, thank you for still being with us, Jonathan. I really appreciate that. All right. And hey, one last reminder, everybody, that all things Omashar are at omashar.com. And that's where you can learn more about him. And most importantly, go to Bandcamp to buy his music. Let's all support Omashar because he does so much for the awakening world. Love you very much, brother. And looking forward to seeing you on Wednesday night. And
yes, and looking forward
to
our
time to receive. Are you ready?
Yes, I am. I'm really looking forward to this. Thank you.
What have these healings been like for you? How have you experienced them?
I was born with a good dose of being skeptical to everything in the universe, and it served me well. And the first couple of KES healings I was present for, I wasn't really 100% present. I don't think so. And so I don't think I received fully. However, the last KES healing, I thought, I'm just going to be 100% present. Don't let anything outside of me to distract. And I tuned in and I asked specifically for something within myself to be healed and cleared. And I literally watched it and felt it being healed and cleared during the session. So that made me realize that this is a real modality and it's totally worth being present for. So that is it. Yeah.
Beautiful. All right. Thank you. Well, I'm going to bring Deborah Juliet in to help introduce our KES healer for the evening. And thank you, Deborah, for organizing the different KES healers that have joined us. And of course, tonight we are blessed to have with us Rosemary Swanson. And I'll just read a little bit about what Rose is willing to share, and then I'll turn it over to you, Deborah. Rose very vulnerably shares that from a young age, she was abused by several members of her family. She suffered for many years until finally, after having a near-death experience, a voice told her it was time to wake up and make some changes in her life. This put her on a path of spiritual healing that's allowed her to recover and discover her calling, helping other survivors of abuse heal and move on with their lives. Although she was once afraid to face what happened to her and stuck in that spiral of despair, she came through it. But she wants people who maybe are still stuck in that pain or still struggling with despair from the past. She knows how they feel, and she's here to support them. She's been through a lot, and she found light at the end of the tunnel, and she came out the other side with renewed confidence and a sense of purpose. And that sense of purpose is this work she's about to share with us, the KES healing. So welcome, Rosemary. And Deborah, what would you like to add?
Oh, I would love to add that Rosemary is, again, one of our big powerhouses, a healer, wonderful healer, very famous healer within our community since how many years now, Rosemary? How many years?
Yeah, almost 3, yeah.
Wow. And you are, you're such a star. I hear only the utmost positive wonderful, wonderful things about you. Maybe you want to share a little bit about yourself. Like, how did you meet the beloveds, and what brought you on your path here to Ashland?
Actually, I found out about the beloveds through the internet, and was not intrigued at all. And a very dear friend of mine met beloveds and began working with them, and she convinced me. So for my 65th birthday, I went on a retreat with Twin Ray down to Mexico. And that was my introduction to them. And I rarely miss anything they do now.
Yeah, of course. I think once you really sit together just for a couple of minutes, there's something within you that just knows, here is a truth. This is a truth that encompasses all, right? No words are needed anymore. And then you discover just by yourself. I guess probably it was the same for you, that I wanted to learn KS. It's the only system that I ever wanted to learn. For me, there was nothing else before. And I just knew there's something so much deeper. And I just wanted to learn for myself. And once I tried it out for myself, I was like, oh, there's not going to be one day without that anymore, right? And then you just want to pass it on to the world. Yes.
Well, I've done many different healing modalities. I've been in this line of work for 40 years now.
Yeah. And so how is the difference for you? That's so wonderful, because for me, it's just so powerful, and I know why I chose that. But so how is it for you?
I have never, in the 40 years of my experience, and I was a workshop junkie for many, many years, I've never found anything as thorough and powerful as the KES and the biodivinity work that we're doing now. It's hands down far greater, more powerful than anything else I've ever worked with before.
Yeah, I always feel it's because of the unity of the soul, the body, and the mind. Like, you cannot, if you're not really encompassing it all to such a degree, no proper healing can be done without really integrating it all. You know, if it's just the body, then it's only a matter of time until something comes back. If it's just the mind, it's the same. And if it's just on the soul level, I mean, that doesn't work, right? So yeah, that's how I feel. And I'm very glad to have, again, a healer of over 40 years who knows exactly what she's doing and who has so much respect within our community. I'm very, very, very happy to have you here on board, Rosemary. Thank you so much for coming. I also would love to share with you that our beautiful Rosemary was recovering I wanted Rosemary weeks ago on this show. And well, there was a little incident that she had to recover from, and she is now full on board. She took time, to really fully heal as a healer. She knows exactly. Yeah.
You want to go into that story, Deborah? Let me go in a little deeper if you don't mind.
I just, yeah, of course, please.
For those of you who are not aware of Twin Ray, perhaps, although I'm sure most of you are, I would not be here today if it was not for Shekinah Ma and Sananda Ji working on me and healing on me. I would not be here today. So I know I am a miracle, and I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah, I was not sure if you wanted me to share this amazing. I could witness that, and I know, yeah, you went to hospital with a major heart disease that came all of a sudden, and yeah, and then all of a sudden you stayed with us. You decided to stay, and that was quite a profound miracle. I will never forget. Yeah.
So
Thank you. So thank you for being here with us now. Thank you so much. And we totally surrender to the divine working through you, to your
And
miracle.
Omar had it right. It is how you surrender and how open you are to receive to what you will receive here tonight. So we began with the heart. We began with unity. And so we're going to end with the heart and unity as well. So I will begin.
Thank you, Rosemary. And thank you,
Thank you.
Deborah.
So if everybody would just close their eyes, take a couple of deep breaths, just imagine yourself breathing into your heart. With each breath, feel your heart begin to relax. And the beating of the heart begins to slow. And I give thanks for each and every one of you for giving your permission, for those that are here on the call and those that might view this later, giving your permission to receive. For as you receive this polling for yourself, you're receiving it for the collective as well. So this healing goes out to the collective, to family, to friends, to world leaders, to the collective. So just breathe that in. We're moving even deeper now into unity and into love. So as you go in even deeper into your heart, allow yourself to really tap into anything that might inhibit you into moving into the deeper realms of love, of divine love, of loving yourself so that you may love others equally. Allowing that love to give us a whole new meaning of unity. We talked a lot about unity tonight. Let's take it deep within our own selves and make the changes within our own hearts first. So everybody has moved into the container. It's feeling very strong. I'm going to begin. We're going to be looking at how energy has been misused. And how this misuse of energy has created tremendous core wounds through all of us, some more than others. Deeply moving into your hearts. And light place the Christic energy, particularly for Rick, who was just recovering from his heart surgery, asking for a special healing for him. And then moving out to the hearts of all others. Asking that the ego be disconnected to all of this misuse of energy. All of this loss of the universal laws. Asking that anything that is inhibiting us from allowing our egos to connect to our soul be lifted and cleared now. All those the childhood woundings that are coming up that I'm feeling, we ask that they be lifted and cleared and purified. Allow the grief and pain and sadness to be lifted now. Releasing all the needs for self-defense, self-preservation, so that you can move into greater love. Releasing the judgments, the prejudice, releasing all of this on all layers, all levels, all dimensions, timelines, and realities. A lot of childhood stuff coming up, really asking that to be cleared. All the emotions, all the false beliefs. Clearing all supporting patterns that keep you from love, that keep you from unity. Allowing this purification to go even deeper than you've ever allowed it to go before. Clearing all levels of the physical body, all the subtle bodies. All the lower personality selves, the traits cleared, cleansed. Asking that we be allowed now to our highest potential. Receive it, accept it. Allowing yourself to be infused by the great central sun and its golden light. Releasing even that which you're resistant to releasing now. Let's let it go. Let go of all things that no longer serve you. yourself permission to take it even deeper. Clearing the field now. Bringing in this beautiful, beautiful virtue of love. Allowing it to come down into your body, filling every single cell. Allow it to move down even to the DNA of the cell. Allowing yourself to begin to receive any aspect of your soul that's willing to assist you in your life's purpose now. A nice deep breath. Allow yourself to consciously feel the love, feel the unity that now resides deep within your heart. Move into gratitude. We thank all the beings of light that have been here with us tonight as we've gone on this healing journey. Thanking Sananda Ji and Shakina Ma, as I know they overlit this healing. And just taking your time, that is done, you may allow yourself to begin to slowly come back. And as you're ready, you can open your eyes. Even though the session has been brought to a close, please know that this energy will continue working with you through the next several months. So expect the unexpected. Thank you, Scott.
Oh, thank you very much. And I want to, Rosemary, you do private sessions for people?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, I do.
So please take a moment to tell us a little bit about that work, and I'll also pull up your website.
Okay, thank you. I work with the angels. I work with the ascended masters. I've been working in the Akashic records for 40 years now. And I've been working with this Christic energy system. I took the first initial class that they gave and absolutely love this work, and would love to work with anybody that is interested in receiving. My sessions are normally 45 minutes to an hour long, to an hour and a half sometimes, depending on what's going on. So.
And it seems that you also really specialize in helping people overcoming having been victimized, having been abused, carrying a lot of, really some of the hardest pain that a human being can experience in life.
That is my specialty. Yes, yes.
Here's the website. I've put it in the chat box. It's rosemarieswanson.com. rosemarieswanson.com, and it looks like you're offering a beautiful ebook. Tell us about that. I'm signing up for it right now.
Thank you. It tells a little bit about my journey, but it also gives you some good insights of how to move through your own pathway of healing, whatever scars there are. For me personally, one of the biggest problems I had was reaching out for help. So I create a very safe haven for people to come to me. We can do it on the phone, on Zoom. I've worked with people all over the world. So
beautiful. And something that I'd like to ask everybody to do, and we've been asking every week, is to give us your experiences. If people can put into the chat box what you experienced during Rosemarie's group healing tonight, or what you've experienced in any of the group healings that we've had over these last few weeks. And once again, Rose, I see that about 80% of our audience has stayed all the way till now through this experience. And I see Sylvia seems to be especially appreciative. So Sylvia, is there anything you'd like to share? Would you like to share anything?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm unmuted. Thank you, Rosemary. I find the healings profound. I'm still focused on unity with the earth and all beings, and especially tree communication. So it's hard for me, as a survivor of infancy trauma, among other things, to function in the capitalist model of, paying for everything and having the profiteers continue to use it to destroy the planet. And I'm visioning, as part of our collectively birthing the golden baby of peace, for us to live beyond money and profiteering.
Yeah.
And in earth-focused tree communities with a variety of beings.
So it's very interesting, love. I'd like to share with you, if I may. For you, when you go out and work with the trees, to focus on connecting with the gender of the tree.
Okay.
And that there is a lot of mother and a lot of father energy that is wholesome, loving, and supportive, that's waiting there for you. The trees are just waiting for you to come ask for it.
I have been doing a practice of going and literally touching in with trees and grounding my feet in the grass and then doing a video of a sacred chants like Loka samasta sukino bhavantu. And I identify as gender expansive beyond male and female. So trees parent me. They nourish me in very profound ways and have my whole life.
Yeah, beautiful. So when you finish chanting to them, listen for their response.
Yes, that's a big part of it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Sylvia. And thank you, Rosemary. We got one comment from Deborah says, thank you so much. I felt movement in one of my fingers that is related to the physical, emotional, and energetic healing of my heart. Looking forward to the continued essence of our beautiful KES. Beautiful. All right. I'm going to bring Deborah on for a moment, but it's time to conclude. And again, thank you, Deborah. I will be coming to pick you up in a few minutes. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And we still have 35 people with us. So thank you very much, Rosemary, for the beautiful healing. Thank you, Deborah, for arranging these. Thank you, beloved Omashar, for still being with us tonight. And your beautiful music that you provided this evening. And what a powerful show it was tonight. Hearing Jonathan Granoff is still with us. Unbelievable. So thank you, Jonathan, for still being with us. And thank you, everybody. Wishing you a beautiful weekend. And I look forward to seeing all of you next week for the start of Peace Week. Take care, everybody. God bless and good night.
Thank you. Thank you.